Hey guys, welcome to Revamp, the podcast, where we are revamping the way adults do life. I'm your host, Felicia Creighton.
And I'm your co-host, Andrea Creighton. Let's get into today's topic.
All right, guys. Well, we are back with another episode. We're so excited. Actually, I say this every single one, but I really am because I have my first best friend in life that I was actually
And my first best friend in life.
that we were able to have.
Yes.
Because our parents, right.
They ran a tight ship.
They weren't playing that back in the day. We couldn't have friends
no
because we were Jesus followers. So we couldn't have any friends.
That was literally not the case, but go for it.
Anyways, so guys, you guys are in for a special treat. So joining us today, we have a two-time Grammy Award-winning singer and songwriter, and she also is the co-founder of Ivy Music Group, Jordan Dollar.
Whoop, whoop.
We're giving her an air high five, and we'll have some the high fives playing in the back.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then with her, we have her sister. She is a two-time Grammy Award-winning songwriter and producer. She's the co-founder of Ivy Music Group, and she's the senior director of A&R at Capital CMG in Nashville. Alex Dollar.
Welcome,
She's in the
Alex.
building.
Come on.
What do we call her? The GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you, Alex and Jordan, welcome to Revamp. We're so excited to have you.
What are we revamping today?
So today we are going to revamp the way you guys, the average adult, view success. That's what we really want to get out of this topic today. Because I think that in the area of social media, it's just really draining for a lot of people, and everybody's striving for success. And so we really want to frame, what does that look like? What does it mean to you guys, to us? What does the world picture success as? And just really get into that so we can kind of help people to cope with what it actually is versus what the world says it is. So that's what we want to get into today.
Very good, B.
And I know everybody is ready. They're sitting on the edge of their seats because you've already said two-time. That is the highest level of music that you can achieve. And we're talking to people that are under 40.
Yeah.
They've you see what I'm saying? So this is big time, but now let's break down, what does that success really look like?
I want to start quickly because I am a little ignorant to the music world.
Okay.
So I want to start quickly and ask you guys some questions. Alex, I want to start with you. What does your role as a senior director of A&R at Cap, what does that actually mean?
So in simple terms, it's really just I find talent.
Okay.
And I fully cultivate their whole brand, the music, the songwriting, and they help with the rollouts, how everybody experiences them.
Yeah.
And just help them navigate through their projects from beginning to end.
Okay. So do you actually help them so do they come with music already written and then you kind of comb through it, or
It depends. Some artists have that flexibility where they're like songwriters, and some of them are producers.
Okay.
And then some of them they come because something happened on the internet, or they kind of blew up somehow, and they don't really have a team of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a lot of relationships with like producers and songwriters. So I'll just figure out, okay, what producer would go good with this artist, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And create like a vibe.
And then so you find them, let's say you're on social media, you see this person, you're like, they're talented. So then do you take that to your big boss, or do you make the decision?
No, I'll contact them
Yeah.
and kind of like court them, build a rapport, see, what they got going on.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if I feel good about it,
You make the call.
Ooh, come on, big shots.
So we've got the big
Big
boss.
shot
We got the big boss in the
At the
building.
table.
I love that.
That's what that's called.
Love that.
Yes,
I knew I needed to ask that question. I'm like, 'cause I don't know what that means. That is so cool to me. I love that.
Yeah.
So this stemmed from our conversation. We all met in Denver a few months back.
Can I just say this before you go on?
Say it.
Listen, this podcast made it out of the group chat. Like we talked about this in
We
Denver.
did.
Yes, in a sauna.
We did.
In a sauna.
Okay, finding our peace.
And this is a reality. So we're here.
did.
But we were talking in Denver, and it was really on the lines of, is it more so how people view them now that they have succeeded? And it's kind of like, oh, they're overnight success, or what was the context of that?
So and it really stemmed from all three of you guys, because I was kind of like I've observed you and Alex and George for years, and I have seen, as the background player, I've seen a lot of the, and I want to say hard work, but a lot of the sacrifices that you guys have each individually made for years. Like since we have been children doing, what was it called that we used to be in up at the Dome, doing all that dancing and singing? What was that?
Girl, we don't
What
know
was
what it's
that? I mean,
called.
we've been dancing. I didn't make it out.
Was it Kids Fate?
What was it called?
No,
I don't
it
know.
was just children's
I don't know.
ministry.
Just
We
and,
were just
and the
performing.
colored shirts, but we've been doing it for years.
Yes.
It wasn't my calling, so I immediately got to. I got something better for you. but you get for years. So since we were 10 years old, I know I've seen you guys.
I know them younger.
Like,
Because,
much younger than us. Yeah.
Jordan used to come over with CDs. She was like, hey, here's my new CD. I'm like, who produced this? I did. Who wrote it? I did. Who's on the background? That's me. What? And it's like 12-year-old Jordan. I mean, it has like a photo shoot. It was like a CD. It was purple.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is from
Garage
like
Band.
little girl,
Yeah.
like in here, garage band mixing and mastering
Yes,
CDs.
crazy.
I mean, from the time we were little girls.
So I wanted to kind of just talk about the fact that it's not an overnight success and that in fact there was sacrifices being made. So I want to kind of share with the audience a bit both of your backgrounds. I know they're both two separate paths, even though you lived in the same home for a while. But I kind of want to start with you, Alex, and then Jordan, I want you to piggyback and just kind of tell them your background with music, your love for it. Where did it stem from?
Yeah. So I would say like 10 years ago, I was solely like working in ministry for my dad and doing the media department. I was into media. Editing, producing, all that stuff. And I just started feeling like this is not what I want to do. And I'm going to pivot. I was making great money. The broadcast was doing great. I was like 27 with like 30 people up under me, 30 employees up under me. So it was like a lot of pressure. And then like working through COVID, it just kind of burnt me out, to be honest. Just all of that responsibility on me. So then I just decided to take a leap on faith and try to apply to Reach Records. I never had like A&R background experience like that. It was just kind of like touch and go stuff. And I ended up getting the job. And when I like my first project there was Lecrae's CC4 album, which is the one we won the Grammy for. Wow. And when I got there, they had a whole album done, and he was like, I really am just not excited about it. I want to just kind of scrape it and start from scratch. So that was the first project that they gave me. And I had a gang of producers that I was working with at the time, and we just kind of just shot for all of the records, and I ended up being a part of like 9 out of the 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Wow. And it was already done.
it was done. So he scraped all the songs,
You're kidding me.
all of them. He didn't keep one of them. And I was a part of that whole process, the singles. So at Reach, something really cool is they let you be a part of the songwriting and the producing. It's not really normal, but it's an indie label. So I was able to do that, and I just felt like that was what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like my background of how I got to this space now.
But you had no A&R background.
No.
And then you got into, I mean, that's the favor of God. I
That's
mean, are
the
you
favor
kidding
of
me?
God. Like, that
because
doesn't
how does that
happen.
work? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, without any, but you still are absolutely nailing it right now without any, I didn't know this. Like, I would
Yeah.
have assumed that
First project. And it's the first project is Grammy Award winning.
oh my goodness.
crazy. Because for a little while, I tried to do the artist thing. But to be honest, when I started doing label meetings and stuff, and they would ask me questions, I just felt like I had identity issues.
Yeah.
I was like trying to find myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to answer stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like being in the forefront.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I like music. I like having fun with my sisters. There's some passion there.
Yeah.
But people always make you feel like if you're not in the front, then you don't matter.
Come on.
This is God.
Come on.
We have this.
Come on.
You didn't took my, this is
This is good. Get off the
Come
notes,
on, where we
Alex.
going? Close the class.
my goodness.
You
That's
know?
good stuff.
Yeah, and I said, hold on. There's some other stuff I could do.
I want to ask you one question before you go to Jay. Were you inspired by anybody along the way? Just even from childhood, like was there anybody who inspired you to be where you are right now that you can look up to? It doesn't have to be like, but just a super, like a whoever. Anybody?
My sister.
Okay.
Easy. Just seeing her and listening to the evolution of the records.
Yeah.
Like her first record, her going to the studio, and then like seeing what she has been able to, you know, evolve into now. I don't really have anybody else that I've been able to really be in awe about.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh God, you guys are
Y'all are setting it up.
You're setting it up. I mean, when I tell you, I'm over here.
We can't make this up.
My whole body is like got chills.
Chills.
Okay, Jordan. Because I already know how this
Jordan,
goes.
please.
Tell us a little bit about you. I'm talking
Lay
about.
this
I
out.
want to know from you pasting your face on the back of the.
Oh my God.
We want to know.
Because this is a journey.
This is
For sure.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
My.
Okay, so let's see. Where do we start? We'll go. Okay, we're both PKs,
Yeah.
obviously raised in the church.
Yeah.
So our first point of contact with music was at church.
Yeah. Mhm.
Though,
Yeah.
You know, we didn't really have a social life like that. So
Yeah.
the highlight of our week was going to dance rehearsal.
Yeah.
And maybe going to basketball practice
Yeah.
and praise team, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm trying to think. I feel like, well, apparently when my mom was pregnant with me, someone prophesied to her saying that she was gonna have a gift of music
Wow.
somehow.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah. There's a video out there somewhere.
Huge.
So I guess my mom had this inkling as I developed, like, let's kind of see. And I think she bought us like a MacBook Pro. This was probably when we were like, it was probably the first MacBook.
Okay,
So
yeah.
whatever year that was.
That would have been years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally like pre-Apple phone, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was literally. Yeah.
And that was how we like had fun. We would get on the laptop and like make up songs. There was no microphone. You're singing in the keyboard.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, you're putting auto-tune and reverb in the
Mixing.
keyboard.
Were you
mixing in the
creating
keyboard.
beats?
Creating beats.
She was doing all of it. This is
Finding
what I'm trying to
loops.
tell you.
Yeah, terrible loops.
But it
by the
doesn't
way.
matter. I'm blown away.
No, seriously. So that was kind of how we were left to ourselves.
Yeah.
To just kind of explore.
Yeah.
And I feel like between that and just like having friends that were always like, what you got? You know, look, my friends were very supportive.
This
Shout
girl-
out to y'all. Y'all knew the song.
My first card, like the CD was popping. I was like,
period.
I don't know her yet.
So when you came
Keep
for a
listening.
Sweet 16, they're like, this is the girl from the car.
Yeah.
Because Andrea had your CD. So you were famous before
I am
you
screaming.
came to her Sweet
Yes.
16.
And I think my CD was from my Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but that was all just, I felt like as I got older, I didn't look like a lot of the artists that I aspired to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, you're not really, as a kid, you're not thinking about wanting to be an artist. You just want to sing.
Yeah. You just want to sing.
You
Yeah.
know, you're not like putting it in these different categories. But as I got older and I was a Black,
Yeah.
more full size,
Yeah.
full figure
Yeah, yeah.
woman, and I didn't see people that looked like me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I aspired to, be like the Janets and Beyonces and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I don't belong in the front, so let me figure out how I can like morph my way into something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so that's kind of how the songwriter identity kind of came from a place of insecurity. Now at 30, I'll be 35 in 2 months. But now I can identify that came from a place of just feeling like I wasn't enough. So I'll hide behind artists and give them my identity.
Wow.
And kind of like play that role.
Yeah.
And I would get certain accomplishments, certain things would happen, Disney. I was able to, my first publishing deal was with Disney.
Yeah.
So that was,
That was huge.
that didn't make any sense. I didn't do anything to like,
It located.
yeah, it
Favor
literally.
of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were you when that happened? Where were you during that deal? Like,
I was working in the manufacturing department. So doing like what was it?
When
the
CDs
CDs
existed?
and
Yeah.
the books that people
At
would order
church.
for my dad.
This is at your father's ministry.
This is at his ministry. I was working in the manufacturing department.
Okay.
And so I wasn't over anything, but I was doing the packages, and I would go to work from 8 to 5, and then I would go to the studio from right after I got off. I would leave the studio in the same clothes that I went to work in and go back to work.
You are
And I was doing that for,
how many years?
I was doing that for probably about 1 year consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is funny how that always happens.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you're at your wit's end, it's
Yeah.
kind of when something kind of comes in. So
Yeah.
I met a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy, and manifested that deal and was with them for a few years and got to work on a whole bunch of different television sync opportunities.
Yeah.
But then it was a lot of touch and go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the majority of my career has been a little bit and then pause.
Yeah.
Or nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I mean, I don't even know how we got to the Grammy thing.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it one of those things, because I know you said it was a lot of touch and go. So is it one of those things where did you feel like you kind of just stopped expecting much and then before you know it, something pops up? Or like explain, what does that look like?
I mean, you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Because she's probably forgot, but I feel like you were done. When I got to Reach, you were done with the music stuff. She called me one day crying.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Broke down. And she was just like, I'm done with this. This is messing with my confidence. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, let's not, you know what I'm saying? Jump the gun. I feel like a big break is on the way. You know what I'm saying?
But I will say this, in the subject of success, when I started in, what was that, 2010, 2011, a lot of my friends had started at the same time.
Okay.
And so I was seeing their success move very fast.
Yeah.
And
Chills.
I can even acknowledge too, I was in and out of a lot of romantic relationships, so that was a huge distraction from my consistency.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing so much of like, you have to put in 10,000 hours. It doesn't matter how good you are. You literally, if it's not 10 years, it's just not going to break before that time frame. Man. So I felt like the touch and go, it would stop the momentum that I was building, and you almost have to start from the last place that you left.
Yeah.
Not where you see yourself at.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But not being mature enough to understand that, I'm just seeing my friends accomplish certain things, and we're supposed to all be doing this together.
Yeah.
So now it's attacking my confidence.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, it was just a lot of coming in and out of the industry and trying to make my life something that I wasn't destined to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of dummy missions.
Yeah.
And, I think it was literally that last conversation where we're like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Because
we were both at the church.
Yeah.
So is this where that conversation of you all coming together, is this what birthed that conversation? Because how do you encourage the person that inspired you? You see what I'm saying? Like, what does that feel like? What does that look like? You're encouraging the one that got you started.
I know.
Is this where you birthed that conversation and say, well, let's come together and do something?
Oh, it gave me fire.
Yeah.
It put fire under my tail. I was like, oh, you have way too much unfinished business. And if I have to be the one to jump, then I'll jump. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in a great position at the ministry. So anybody at that age making that amount of money in that position of power, you know, they would stay there for years. You know what I'm saying? Especially like the family business and all that. Yeah. But it just wasn't fulfilling. And we both knew that. We're like, okay, our season is up here. We've done what we needed to do. Yeah. We've impacted what we need to impact, but there's more. But it was just, I was comfortable, and I was uncomfortable being comfortable.
That's good. That's where growth happens.
Yeah.
Is when you step out there in that water where you know it's just you and God. That's where it's like we can make some
because I would call her all the time. It would be, I mean, I was stressed out dealing with people, just different situations, and every time I would call her, she I think she was getting frustrated with me.
First. That's the timeline.
Yeah.
I left the church first.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
I just kept calling her with
like,
stuff. She's like, you know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just got convicted at one point, and I was like, I gotta just jump.
Yeah.
Because you can be holding up something. I know Andrea struggled with that for her move.
Oh, absolutely.
And so before her move, she was holding back a lot of people's potential by her still being there, trying to be the savior for everyone. Come on. And you had held up, and the Holy Spirit, I know you were like, it's just so hard. I do so many things. It's so many moving parts.
Yeah, it's like if I move, everything shatters.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have to stay in place.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you have to be where God is telling you to be.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Because you are are hindering other people. And I never want to be a hindrance out of my disobedience for other people to grow and mature in Christ.
Right. This is difficult. This is a difficult transition to make because I'm working in ministry
For your father.
for family.
Both.
Yeah.
And
so
it's
God should bless that,
so
right?
I should be
there
here.
should be fruit.
Or
from
even
that.
if I do something else, I still should have a leg in here. No. Like, and I think that's why people they don't know how to box you in because it's just like, how are you so on fire for Christ, but you're not a pastor or a preacher?
They want to put me on a pulpit when I start speaking. But I'm like, if we're on the pulpit, then who is going to infect the people that are just walking around at the gym, at the grocery store, if we're all somewhere flying across the country?
Here it is. Hello. Who's going to influence music, which music is the greatest influencer that we have right now in this age.
yeah.
So who's an on fire Christian that's in that industry?
If we put y'all on the pulpit.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's doing that?
Yeah.
Who's infecting? And so I want to, before we get into that, I want to get into this because this was huge for me. God gave me this revelation a few weeks back, and I thought this was so good because I just heard you guys both display what I was saying. So I was talking about people being inspired by people. And so we looked up the definition. Do you have the definition on
Yes,
your
I
phone?
do. So here's the actual definition of inspiration: the feeling of being motivated to do something new or creative. People don't look at inspiration that way.
So I said to myself, I see what's going on here. We have people, so inspiration outside of taking that back to God has an expiration date. So you will burn out because the operative word being new.
Yeah.
And so I see here, so I asked you the question specifically because I wanted to see.
Who inspired you?
Who inspired you? You said Jordan, but you took her inspiration and you took it to do something new and look where you've gone.
Jeez.
You would have burnt out trying to be Jordan.
Absolutely.
Because the definition, right, of inspiration is to go take this, be inspired by this, and say, all right,
something
there's
new
a
and
check in my
creative.
spirit. There's something I should be doing.
Right.
It wasn't singing. But what it was I took the inspiration from her singing, and now look at you as a senior A&R exec. This is what I'm saying, and I think we are in a position where people are expiring because it is going to come to a head eventually. Because you're running on your own fuel. You're running off the fuel of them. It's going to come to a head. So inspiration outside of checking it with God is going to expire. And so I think it's so beautiful to see both. I noticed I asked you specifically, but you said names who you were aspiring to be like, but you took that inspiration, there's a check, and you did your own. I don't look like them. And look where he's been able to take you because of that. You went and created a new image.
For sure. But it takes a little bit of a trial and error too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
be
Discovery
inspired, discover that this is not my this is not what I'm graced to do.
I
Yeah.
like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then
And pivot. People are
be
afraid
humble
to
enough
pivot.
to
Yes.
This is good.
hear like, okay, this is really what I'm undeniably good at.
Yeah.
Like no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And letting that guide you versus the inspiration that you're talking about is that's an emotion.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You
The
know?
humility is huge though, especially in your industry.
And it's hard to come by.
I know. And I know that's a lot of
know?
burnout too.
Absolutely.
Because if we're all believing that we're supposed to be, and that's another thing.
I think this is what happens. What happens is I see what you're good at, what you're graced to do.
Yeah.
And you're making it look so easy. And I feel like, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
I should be able to do it. So let me do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a disconnect.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
a
we have
delusion.
people all the time just like, oh, I see what you guys are doing. Maybe I should start one too. Maybe I should start a podcast. And it's like, are you graced for it?
Hello?
I mean,
And we're not even doing it at the large scale. I'm
Yeah.
like, how just two people talking? It's not. We had somebody the other day say, "Oh yeah, I tried it. It's not as easy just to have a conversation with one or two people." And I said, "Yeah, I know. It's a grace.
there's a grace.
Yes. That is
And I
given.
think that in that grace, there is so much that comes with the grace of God when it's on your life. There's provision. There is favor. We talk both of them that started telling their stories,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, we're able to see favor. That was favor.
That it
there was
located you.
provision.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know where the money's going to come from. Provision comes because why? I'm supposed to be doing this.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are divine connections. Both of you all were like, man, I met a guy, I met a girl, and it's like, did that just happen? Is that random? No, it's. I am graced to do this. I have been put on this earth to do this, and everything is working together for me to get it done. So now you have somebody over here. I'm inspired to copy, and it's like you're about to miss this. You're about to expire out real quick.
Yeah, and you're missing the definition of it. And I want to tell people, favor locates you. Like it's favor is a locator, so it's looking for the person who is in the will and the purpose and plan of God for their life in that season.
Yes.
You guys were both when it located you, when you pivoted. It's not just something you said, I had a great epiphany. No, that's the Holy Spirit. That's a check.
Yeah.
You're born. He's on the inside of you. Same with you. It was a check. So when it was time to go, it was time to go. The season was up.
Yeah.
You moved. Favor located you at reach.
Yeah.
favor located you when you were in the will of God doing those, and it looked like a tireless, like, you know, what did you say you were doing? You were
the manufacturing of all
that's
of
not
the
something
products.
fun.
Absolutely
That's
not.
not sexy. That's not cute. That's
Right.
not. That's, you know, that goes in the book, right? That goes in the tell-all book that I'm going to tell you how I got.
But nobody posts that. Nobody shows that, right? And I think that's what people are being discouraged and they're mentally challenged right now because I'm looking at everyone's highlight.
That's right.